Farm. I'm going to take you through our natural sequence farming annual maintenance on our little agroforestry regen project. So this is our natural sequence farming contour, runs along here. I'll show you the contour a little bit later where it's been brush cut down already, but basically established a lot of trees below the natural sequence farming contour. It's infiltrating water into the side of the hill and getting a better environment for these trees to grow. This was just a flogged out horse paddock. Just established the trees in December 2020, so we've got about 30 months of growth here on the oldest of the trees. Last year and the year before just came through after our summer growth period and just cut all this organic matter, all this regrowth pasture back to the ground to reduce the fire hazard, get some organic matter on the ground and feed these trees. So 12 months ago, basically all this organic matter is brought into the base of these trees. So I've still got, 12 months later, lots of good mulch, some reduction in the grass competition around the trees. So that's done a pretty good job on that. So that's what I'm trying to do this year again, just to get everything consolidated into some rows to maybe introduce some more trees into the system. And I'll just have a quick walk through on what I've got to do and what I've already done. So our contour is about 500 metres long, got about between 10 and 12 metres of room below the contour, and a little strip of trees above the contour, where we're just establishing various trees for legume trees for their nitrogen fixing capacity. We've got a selection of trees that are forage trees, so in drought conditions we can cut them down and feed them to livestock, both horses and cows and sheep, and also just for some biodiversity. So plantings wise, we put some on contour rip lines through to let some water in, and established about 650 native and introduced trees. We've got casuarinas, put through a couple of kilos of pigeon pea seed. Some of that pigeon pea is still getting along okay here. I've got a jacaranda tree, which is a legume. We've got silky oak, got casuarina, got, I think it's probably another jacaranda, pigeon pea here. That's a seedling pigeon pea coming up through there. Silverleaf ironbark, cipuana, zigzag wattle, another wattle there, more pigeon pea. When we had some favourable conditions coming into spring, while we still had some rain, I hand seeded some flaxseed and chia through here. So there's quite a lot of chia, which I'm going to try and avoid and let that come to seed. Bees like it, all little birds like it. But we've got casuarina, got some chicory here, which we had introduced there 2 years ago for some diversity. A bit of chia through there, still pigeon pea. I don't know what that weed is, but doing a pretty good job. We're getting some caprets in the ground. More wattles, silky oak, cipuana. It's a zigzag wattle, not native to this area, but a native Australian plant. Really good growth for about 2-year-old plant. Wish I had some more of those in. So I'm about halfway along the contour here. It's taken several hours to do that, but basically just trying to accumulate organic matter both up against the base of the established trees and also consolidate into areas where potentially I'm going to introduce either some seed bombs or some more seedlings in there. So we've got wattles, we've got some chicory there up in flower, casuarina, pigeon pea, albizia, box tree, red cedar. Just walking up this way, these rip lines here are still fairly well established. That's where the pigeon pea were, but we haven't got much left. This is our contour, about 30 centimetres high, about 30 centimetres deep, running along contour here. Collects water coming downhill from our place and the neighbours, diverts it towards the dam, which is at the end, but also once the dam is full, it back floods through here, and that water can infiltrate through the top layer of the soil down the hill. And then on this side, again, just got casuarinas and ironbarks and wattles and a few misses, but accumulating this organic matter. I'd expect come spring, you're going to have the opportunity through the base of here to get some seed bombs in there and potentially some seedlings just to fill in the gaps. What would I do differently? Probably greater density of tree plantings initially would be a good idea. It's all work, but I think closer spacing would be good. When I established the pigeon peas, 2020 hindsight, if I had collected some wattle seeds, which I have spread, on top of the ground, which could come up over the next however long, but that could have been introduced into those rip rows where I put the pigeon peas and some cover crop through. The fodder plantings I'm really happy with. Can always have more tipuana. Basically, the problem isn't planting trees. The problem is not having enough to take out later on. So when we're looking at forage, we can coppice or pollard some of these legume trees, ideally for forage. Put the timber and the organic matter back on the ground. You've just got options the more trees you've got. So that would be, if I was going to do the same thing again, that's what I'd do. This section here where I had more organic matter when this contour went in, sort of from here to the tree line, was quite heavily grassed when the contour went in. I just don't think we got as good a seal, which is fine. You want your contour to be permeable, but the permeability of this section seems to be a lot greater than heading down this way. So this section here stayed a lot wetter, which has been a negative as far as the establishment of trees go. I've got casuarinas and I've actually put in some paper barks that can tolerate waterlogging a lot better. So that's something to consider. What species you put in below the contour. This is an overflow section here. This is sort of bed of grass on each corner. So this is actually an overflow here, and with the contour rips and the wheel tracks from the track there, water comes out through there here and then spreads along here as well. You sort of see this greater amount of vegetation through this section here. Just basically it's been better hydrated, and more water has gone down there during the wet times, and it certainly held on a lot better. But that water's been diverted from the gully through the dam out to overflow at various sections from the contour. Just while I'm brush cutting, just trying to be mindful of not just trying to cut things down, trying to organise that organic matter. It's not really a syntropic row, but I'm just trying to get that organic matter in one section, so I've got better grass control there, accumulate that fertility and accumulate the organic matter, and hopefully give me a spot to plant trees or plant seeds coming in the spring if I want to. So when you're sweeping with the brush cutter, you can just cut and sweep and try and get it accumulated into these windrows where you've got enough organic matter to suppress that grass growth underneath, and it should have a good seed bed or a good spot to plant seedlings coming into spring once that's sort of broken down a little bit, and then I can reaccumulate that again with the next pass in 12 months time. So because we fence this on both sides with permanent fencing, it's basically to run electricity on both sides. We also have a good stock fence, horse fence, cow fence on either side. We're not running stock in here at the moment. At some stage down the track in a couple of years time, once we've got better established trees, anticipating running just a couple of cows through here just to clean up some of this vegetation. But until we get to established trees, just trying to increase diversity in here and get the seedlings up and out of the road, which is doing a pretty good job at the moment. First trees we put in is these plastic tree guards with 3 or 4 wooden stakes around them, just for keeping rabbits and hares and bits and pieces off. Transition then to single stake and cardboard. Cardboard don't last as long. This one's been here for 12 months less than these ones. They've done their duty now. I'm going on and pulling those off. We'll probably stick to the cardboard just on an environmental basis, but they're certainly not as effective or long-lived as the plastic ones. Part of the idea of returning vegetation and trees and biodiversity along through the paddocks is what the birds can bring in, other animals coming in. We've got kangaroos camping under the trees, bringing their fertility. We've got birds. Typically one tree that we planted here, but pretty exciting. Little silky oak there coming up, another silky oak over there, which haven't been planted. I haven't put any silky oak seed in here, so that's come in from birds, assumedly camping in that, and has bringing the forest to the party as well.